Hello, I'm Kelsey, and this video is for Create More, Fear Less. What we're doing together are projects that are about care with distance. This illustration and phrase was made from an artist named Taeyoon Choi. Thank you, Taeyoon. And what we're going to do with this idea is, or what we are doing, are creative ways to do things with and for people that we care about, but with distance. Thanks for being here. Before we get started on our project, and I'm really excited to do this project with you, let's just take a moment to do a worry release, where we take something that's on our minds and we put it down on paper so we can put it aside separate from us. Do you want to see mine? Doing it right. Sometimes I can kind of get freaked out by, like, am I doing this right? And I know that right really depends on a lot of things, and sometimes it's a lot easier to do the thing that in the end is right if I give it space to think about it. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Okay. Do you remember where we last left off in our last activity? We were hanging out together and we were shopping for fun with things like this and looking at all these different things, and we had someone in mind and we were cutting things out and we made piles of things that we thought were interesting looking and that were fun ideas, so that we had different ones that we were interested in doing later. Like, let's plan costumes and do Halloween together. So here we are in part 2 of our activity, where we are going to make those into a pop-up. Now you might be asking, Kelsey, why should I make a pop-up to-do list? Well, I've thought about that and I've come up with 5 reasons why. Can I read them to you? Okay, you ready? Number 1, the first reason why I should make a pop-up to-do list is because you can leave it out and look at it. And that means that you have something in front of you that you enjoy looking forward to. Number 2, making it 3-dimensional makes it feel just a little bit more real, like you can imagine doing it. Number 3, what you can do with it is use it as a menu of activities you can pick from the next time you get together with your friend. Number 4, you could label them, like one for each month of the year, or things that you would want to do in the spring, summer, winter, or fall. So that way you have a time that you're looking forward to doing it. Number 5, you can give them. You can use each pop-up as an invitation to the person who you want to do the thing with. Voila. That's what we can do. That's why we should do it. So let's do it. The first thing we want to do is get all of our supplies ready. And do you remember what we said before? Please pause and get what you need. So after I show you all the supplies, you can go get them, pause, and come back. You can also rewind and see everything all over again. The things we're going to need are printer paper. Printer paper is usually 8.5 by 11. What I want you to do is cut your pieces of paper into 8.5 by 5.5. You're going to cut them in half like that. So you have a pile of these. Check this out. This is printer paper. This is card stock, or thicker paper. Printer paper is floppy And card stock or thicker paper is like less bendable, which is really nice for pop-ups so they can stick out. So I want you to get printer paper to do all your testing and experimentation with. And if you have thicker paper, that's great, because then you can do your final pop-ups with these. So hopefully you have a pile of 8.5 by 5.5 paper that you folded in half and you're ready to use for this activity. Next, scissors, because we need to cut paper for our pop-ups. We need a ruler because you're going to want to take some measurements of the things that you've cut out. You need a pencil so that you can mark all your measurements. You need glue so you can glue what you've cut out and onto your pop-up. You can use different types of glue, it's okay. We want a folding tool. This is a spoon, but it's also a folding tool, and it helps me when I've made a fold to make it a really nice, clean fold. You could also use a plastic fork, a disposable like takeout chopstick. This is actually a bone folding tool, so if somehow you have this in your house, then you can use that. The last thing I want to talk about, I always use tape, because tape for this activity is something where you could put tape on your thing before you glue it and see if it works and it's the right size, and then just take the tape off and use glue. So tape is really good for testing. The last thing is this. It's a right angle. And what that does is let me, if I'm going to try and plan how I'm making a mark, if I line my paper up to the bottom of my right angle, then I can mark along here and make sure that my line is perfectly straight and not crooked. These are awesome. However, you might be saying, Kelsey, I don't have your special ruler at my house, and that's okay, not a lot of people do, but remember this printer paper? It's got a right angle on it. So you can use a sheet of paper that you haven't cut and line it up against the thing that you want to mark, and that's how you can still do a straight line. Okay, those are all your tools. Now we're ready to make some pop-ups, and this is where I want to do a pinky promise, okay? And the pinky promise is, if this is frustrating, and there might be things that are frustrating because they're new and we're trying them out, just be easy on yourself, okay? Just try and be patient. Pause this video anytime you need to. Let's take it easy, okay? Okay, thank you. So, we're going to do our first pop-up. This is my folded sheet of paper. I folded it in half. This is the side that is folded down here. And I'm going to take my scissors and do one cut. And now I'm going to move and do a parallel second cut that's the same length as my first cut. And now I have those like a middle flap. I'm going to lay it down on the table, bend it over, and use my folding tool to make a nice clean fold. Once I have that, I'm going to flip it around and fold it on this side. That way, the thing that I've folded is really good at folding and can fold any way I want it to. So I can open my paper, and because I've already folded it, I can turn that fold inside out and press it down, give it a squish, and check this out. That is a pop-up. Now I can take something that I've cut out with tape on the back and do a little test. So my pile of grapes is now a pop-up pile of grapes. Pretty cool, right? Okay, check this out. I'm going to take this off, go back. We have our flap right there. I'm just going to cut a new line that's not as long as the original line. I'm going to stop right here. And now I have a little small flap. Yeah, I'm going to fold that over. Oops, folding tool. I'm going to flip it over, fold it again so it can fold really easily. Okay. Remember, this was our flap. We're going to turn it inside out so it can just be a pop-up. But check this out. That I'm going to push back. Now look what it's doing. Isn't that kind of crazy? You know what you can do with this? You could have, let's see, a crab on the front, climbing up a box of milk bones to get to a pie. And they're all a pop-up. Not bad. Okay, what else can we do? You can make your flaps that pop up different sizes. So I'm going to make this one a really thin, tall one, and then I'm going to make a short, wide one. So now I can fold them back. I'm going to use my folder to push it down. I'm going to flip it over and fold again so it becomes a really nice clean fold. Okay, I have my two flaps that can fold back and forth. Now I'm going to open and I'm going to push the pop-ups inside out. And I'm going to fold them back to give it a little squish. And now I have my two pop-ups. And these I could put like this chair on the short one, and I could put this dinosaur on the long one, and now I have like a flying dinosaur and a chair as a pop-up. Okay, thank you for trying those out with me. This is a reminder of each of the ones we've just done. So now you have this menu of different options. Do you notice something? That. We haven't done that one yet. What does that one do? It's just a strip of paper. Like this. This is actually the same size that I just cut off of one of these sheets of paper. But what this does is if I have something in the background that I want, like this, and I don't want to cut a big slice out of it like I did with the other ones, I can make a pop-up on top of it. And I do that by taking this strip of paper. This is that card, that thicker paper. I fold it in half. And I'm going to fold it in half again. So now I have a squiggly piece of paper. And I'm going to bend that fold back this way so it makes a square. And now I can glue the two open ends of the square onto the paper. Remember, this is a really good time to rewind and just watch all those parts again. So I put glue on here. I'm going to glue that to the piece of paper and press it down. I still have this end of the square I need to close. I put some glue on it. And I'm going to put that those two loose ends of the square I glued down onto the paper, and now I have a pop-up. So I could put bananas in front of my picnic table and I have a pop-up. Okay, now you have a menu of 4 different ways that you now know how to pop up. Let's turn our to-do list into pop-ups. I'm going to ask you to do an agreement with me. I know we did the pinky promise, but this is the other thing. This is just like a reminder, okay? That when we're doing our pop-ups and we're turning the to-do into a pop-up, the thing is all of the to-dos, you only cut out one of everything. So you can't, you might feel nervous about messing up, and that's why I want you to plan and test before you glue. That way you feel comfortable and confident before you make it final, okay? So, do you remember Ray? And Ray was planning her to-do list of fun things to do with Sam. Well, we've turned those into pop-ups. So one of those things, do you want to see them? Okay. One of them was, I want to eat sandwiches with you. So, check this out. It's Ray and Sam and a sofa full of sandwiches. Another one was, I want to go to the cat doctor with you. Like that. So let's look at how we made them. This one, do you see that thin, long one and a short, wide one? I just made all those cuts, and now the cat doctor is sitting at the cat doctor desk with the box of Band-Aids, and Ray and Sam are standing next to it. For this one, you notice there is no cutout. I used the one where I took this and folded it, and Ray and Sam are attached to the sofa with all the sandwiches, and they are just glued to that little strip of paper. So those are all things you totally know how to do. Let's look at the next one that I have planned, and I'm testing it, but I have not glued it yet. This one is, I want to draw with you. And these are all the pieces that Ray has cut out. And now I've made this big flap is for the box of crayons, and I made these 2 flaps for people to be attached to. So I'm going to turn it inside out. And now I want to test it again with my tape. Oops. And I can do my box of crayons on here. And I'm going to put Sam here. And the sketchbook that they're drawing in over here in the backdrop. And then Ray goes on this little small one here. And you know what I realized? Because it's printer paper, Ray was really floppy. And she kept flopping and falling over every time I stuck her on. So you know what I did? I took it off and I added one of these little strips onto Ray. So now she's not floppy. And she can go on here and it works. So now I think this is going to be, yikes. I think this is going to be okay. And this test is going to work as a pop-up, and I can glue it. Okay. Thank you for doing this mega two-part project with me. I hope you can step back and look at the different pop-ups that you've made, and even look at your pop-up to-do list and think of it as like a choose your own adventure that you're looking forward to doing with your friend. And if you're okay with it, you can share these with your friend. All right, I am gonna see you next time for our last activity together. Okay, see you soon. Bye.